Hey everyone, Ashley here with the Love and Light School, and I have been trying to really immerse myself in the energy of the season. I went to the dog park today, walked through the wildflower meadow, which was so beautiful. Sort of just saw the first little tinge of color begin to come through in some of the trees. Stopped at the apple orchard to get a bag of pears and came home, made myself a little cuppa, and thought I would pop in and chat about crystals with everyone. I thought maybe I would talk about some of my favorite crystals for the fall season. So when I think of the fall season, I think of, for me personally, a time where I get so inspired. I have a huge burst of creative energy. I think a lot of it is, the autumn in terms of the seasonal cycle is a time where we can really go in and reflect a bit. And for me, that inner reflection usually turns into some sort of outward expression. And so I love crystals for creativity like Mexican lace agate, carnelian, ruby, all of those crystals that are really kind of aligned with that inspired action sort of energy. So let's see, other crystals I like for fall. I always kind of connect with golden tiger's eye this time of year. I think it's another one for me that really is compatible with some of those stones for creativity because it's so helpful for me for mental clarity and focus. So when I take all of that exciting creative energy and I'm trying to figure out how to focus it into something that I want to create, then Golden Tiger's Eye is such an excellent crystal companion. So Golden Tiger's Eye, carnelian, ruby, those very warm, sort of fiery energy crystals are so excellent for fall, but also some of those crystals that do promote the self-reflection time, the going within time, the beginning to slow down our rhythm in preparation for winter, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. So I love black obsidian for this, labradorite for this. There are so many great choices and options for crystals that we can use for this concept of self-reflection and doing the inner work. Just about any obsidian I think is good for this. Black obsidian, gold sheen or silver sheen obsidian, snowflake obsidian, also bringing that added quality of balance. So that's a really good one too. Other crystals that I love for this time of year are fossils, really any kind of fossil. I'm particularly drawn to ammonite fossils. And I think there's also something so beautiful and magical about them because they have this perfect spiral structure. So that can be sort of a metaphor for our own journey within as we spiral into the center of ourselves. But also fossils in general are records of the land. They are records of life here on this planet, plants and animals. And for that reason, they are rooted and steeped in history, and they are amazing for ancestor work, for ancestral connection, whether that be familial ancestors, spiritual ancestors, and whether you want to keep these on your altar as sort of a point of connection, or you want to try meditating with them, these are great ways to connect with your ancestors through something that is really tactile, through something that you can hold in your hands and connect with that energy. I think one of my favorites that is a bit underappreciated or maybe less well known is Dravite tourmaline, which is also sometimes called champagne tourmaline. It's a beautiful, deep brown tourmaline. It's so earthy. And once when I was meditating with Dravite tourmaline, I saw sort of the image of a badger like burrowing down into its burrow, into the earth, and like getting ready for a long winter, a period of hibernation. And I think that Dravite Tourmaline kind of has that energy again of helping us slow down and ease into the fall, prepare for the winter, for the longer, darker months, but in a way that we feel really supported, really comforted, really secure. So it always kind of reminds me of that connection with the badger and what the badger can sort of teach us about that. But, you know, in that there is a certain amount of strength also. So we need that time to sort of recharge, to rejuvenate, so that we can maintain our strength, our vitality, our passion, by just appreciating the sort of seasonal ebb and flow that's created. I know that everyone sort of experiences the seasons differently, depending on where we live. I live in Madison, Wisconsin, so for me, we definitely do have 4 distinctive seasons here. Although our summer seems to be very short, our winter seems to be very long. I do really enjoy the more liminal times of spring and fall where you feel the energy sort of shifting, and there's something that brings this sort of heightened awareness and this almost mystical quality just existing within that seasonal liminality. And so working with crystals to help me connect with that space and that feeling as well is really supportive for what's kind of going on around me and helping me be more aligned with that energy. So Labradorite, I love for this. It is a great crystal for working with during meditation and for enhancing that sort of mystical experience. Larvikite is another one. It's sometimes called silver Labradorite, but it's actually not a Labradorite. But Larvikite is great for this as well. So if you haven't worked with that. And then I think another thing to try working with are acorn shapes. I love working with little carvings when they have some meaning. So acorns are great. They're sort of dropping from the oak trees all around right now. And I think they help us sort of plant the seed and make plans and prepare for the things that we want to grow later on. So it's about sort of nurturing and tending to that little seed right now so that it can grow into that big, strong oak later on. The spring and the fall, we have these times where you can feel that changing energy if you're somewhere where you do experience the seasons. And I know some of you are in the Southern Hemisphere and you're just awakening into spring, which is equally as an exciting time, arguably somewhat more exciting after a very long winter. So you may be interested in some crystals for more of a spring awakening, flourishing, growth sort of energy. One of my favorite crystals for working with spring energy is pink calcite, particularly pink manganocalcite. I love the stuff that comes from Peru. It is so soft, nurturing, beautiful, and it always reminds me of the energy of the goddess Blodeuwedd, the Welsh goddess who is sometimes called Flower Face. She has a very interesting, like, mythological story. So if you're interested in that, go look her up. But pink calcite, I always feel really kind of connects with that energy of spring. Also flower agate, sometimes called cherry blossom agate or sakura agate. That's a really nice one for capturing that spring energy, as well as green aventurine.